Let's bring into the conversation someone who's intimately involved in this. From Capitol Hill, Republican Mike Lawler of New York. We need to call you Congressman-elect still, sir, since no one was sworn in yesterday. Take us inside some of these rooms if you can. I know you're new up on the Hill, but where does the vote stand? How do you see this breaking? It looks like a staring contest where neither side's going to blink at this point.
Well, obviously, it looks like a game of chicken, but the bottom line here is this. The vast majority of the Republican conference supports Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. And we are not going to allow the conference to be held hostage by a handful of members. We had our conference elections back in November. He received 85% of the vote. Yesterday on the floor, he received 91% of the vote. So the bottom line for me is these folks, need to get on board. Kevin has negotiated in good faith with them to address their concerns. We've made over 20 rules changes that will be adopted by the conference when we elect a speaker. So for them to continue to gripe and air petty grievances, frankly, is disgraceful. And they need to get on board so that we can get about the work we were elected to do. We were elected to govern. And for too many of these folks, they seem hell-bent on holding the rest of us hostage and frankly would rather be in the minority throwing bombs than have to actually take responsibility for the government. Well,
you're right. They are hell-bent, and they've shown no signs they're going to change their votes. The number is the number. You got to get to 218, and you're not there yet. So how do you change the minds or change the votes of those 19 or 20 Republicans?
You can't allow a handful of people to run the conference here. Right. With a margin like this, 222, 18 districts, including myself, representing districts Joe Biden won in the 2020 presidential election, we're not going to allow a handful of people to overrun the conference. So we're either going to work together and advance our agenda or not. And they have a choice there. But the 203 of us that are supporting Kevin on the first ballot, the second ballot, the third ballot, and so on, we're not going to be overrun by them. And that's the bottom line here.
So Congressman, I'll call you Congressman. It's a matter of time. Congratulations on your victory. I do wonder. I was talking about when a group of us used to 10, 11 of us would decide which direction the Congress was going by voting down a rule. After a while, the rest of the caucus caught on and said, wait a second, we can run over them. And they started running over us pretty regularly. So I'm wondering what you're saying about not surrendering to them. Is there an understanding with the 200-plus people that support Kevin McCarthy for Speaker? Is there an understanding that if you back down now, that you're hostage to these people for the next 2 years?
1,000%. And that is why we are not going to do so. It is untenable in a conference to allow this. And that's why Kevin McCarthy is not backing down. And you talked about him sitting on the floor taking, 3 votes. So be it. This is too important. There is too much at stake. And we are not going to allow a handful of people to overrun the conference or the will of the American people. The American people wanted to end one-party rule. They wanted to restore balance and common sense in government. We have to work together. And by the way, the Democrats have to work with us, too. It's not just Republicans going and working with Democrats. Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer need to recognize there is a Republican majority. There will be a speaker, and they're going to have to deal with them. And, there's a lot of challenges ahead, and we have to be serious and sober about them. And I am fully committed to doing that.
Congressman, it's Jennifer Palmieri. Congratulations on your win. As you noted, you represent a district that President Biden won. It was a tough race in 2022. It'll be a tough race in 2024. Republican Congress not off to a particularly auspicious start. Are you thinking now about how you will convince your constituents that you can play a productive role here, how you may, if you're going to need to distance yourself from the Republican leadership, but how people see chaos so far and dysfunction. What are you going to do to make sure that your constituents see you are getting results and doing the job of representing them?
Well, look, there's no question. I won a tough district. There's 70,000 more Democrats than Republicans. The district is home to Bill and Hillary Clinton and George Soros. And I defeated the chair of the DCCC. But the reality is I have always been able to reach across the aisle. I've always been able to appeal to voters across the district because of my message and because of the work that I have done. In Albany, I had among the most bipartisan voting records in the state legislature, and I will do the same down here in Washington. So I'm not concerned about my ability to convince the voters in my district of the job that I am doing, but we will move forward as a conference and focus on the issues that matter. We need to rein in the reckless, out-of-control spending. We need to secure the border. We need to increase domestic production of energy. These are issues that I ran on and won on in this district that Joe Biden won by 10 points. So the results speak for themselves, and I think people are very interested in seeing serious leadership and results, and that's what I'm going to deliver over the next 2 years.
Congressman, let me ask you really quickly, because it'd be malpractice if I didn't ask you really quickly about your fellow New York Congressman, George Santos. What should his fate be?
Look, his election was certified. Obviously, he was on the floor yesterday voting. But there are multiple investigations underway, federal, state, and local. I'm sure a House ethics investigation will commence once we elect a speaker. But he will have to cooperate with every single investigation, including the one that seemingly was opened in Brazil. These are serious charges that have been leveled against him. Obviously, his conduct is embarrassing and unbecoming, but his election was certified, and so he will be seated, and we'll see what the investigations produce, and then obviously deal with it from there.
Right. Leave it to the voters and the courts and the ethics committee. Really quickly, before we let you go, since you're going to be a new member, Mika and I know a lot about New York's 17th Congressional District.
Yeah.
Other than having the triumvirate of Bill and Hillary and George Soros, which I'm sure you love to say on the campaign trail, tell us about the 17th Congressional District. And what are you going to do for them? What locally, what does the 17th Congressional District need from you?
Well, look, it is among the highest property tax counties in America. Rockland County, where I'm from, and Westchester County, the northern portion. I want to lift the cap on salt. That is going to be one of my primary focuses. You know, the Democrats talked about doing it for the last 2 years when they had complete control of Washington, and they failed to deliver on it. I am going to do everything I can, especially in our conference, to move people on this issue and work with Senator Schumer and the president to address it. People are struggling. You know, inflation is at a 41-year record high. We need to reduce the cost of living. We need to make it more affordable. New York is a tough place to live, and we need to tackle that. I want to increase domestic production of energy. We have sky-high energy costs, and we need to deal with immigration. You know, my wife is an immigrant from Eastern Europe. I've been through this process. It's a broken process. We need to secure the border.
Yes,
we need to fix the legal immigration system, and we need to address the 20-plus million people who are here undocumented. This is unsustainable for the future, and we need to be serious about it.
Well, I think you'll find a lot of bipartisan support for everything you said there. Republican Congressman, our Congressman-elect, we're going to still call you Congressman.
At some point, he'll be sworn in.
Exactly. Mike. At some point. Mike Lawler, thank you so much. Welcome to the monkey house, as Kurt Vonnegut would say. Good luck.
Yes, good luck to you.
Thanks. And, you know, it makes Albany look like beanbag.
Exactly.
Okay. Nice.
Exactly.
All right.